friends, family, and fellow wanderers. Welcome to Studio Zen. This is the Stressless Guru Calmcast. I am the Stressless Guru, and this is where we slow things down, breathe a little deeper, and bring a bit of chill to the hectic pace of life. In today's episode, I want to talk about fear and how fear is often not what we think it is. How the thing that we are afraid of sometimes truly is just a misinterpretation of our very own shadows. So to start this episode off, I want to talk about a period from my childhood, which as an adult is kind of silly, admittedly, but it is what it is. So when I was a kid, I'd go over to Grandma's house, and Grandma would always give us whatever we were drinking. Typically, it was going to be in like a little Tupperware cup, but on occasion, when she didn't have enough clean Tupperware cups, little plastic cups, she would give us a ceramic mug to drink from. And it was terrifying. Because you see, this is what would happen. And you can try, this works with the mugs that you have as well. So go, next time you're with a mug, try this. So she would give us milk, typically is what we were drinking, or coffee. I started drinking coffee when I was 4. God bless Grandma. And whatever it was we were drinking, whether it be the coffee or the milk, sometimes water, sodas. When you would get to the bottom of the mug, as you were tilting the mug in. Now, as an adult, my face is a little bit larger than it was as a child, so I don't look straight into the mug necessarily when I'm drinking. But when you're little, and that mug is about the size of your face, as I would continue to drink, it terrified me to drink all of the liquid in the mug, because as I would continue to drink and tilt that mug towards me, I noticed a set of eyes looking back. They weren't human eyes. They were distorted, but they were eyes nonetheless. As I continued to drink whatever beverage was in my cup, I would see a nose. I would see features, distorted features, scary features. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because, again, I was very, very young. So I don't know if I had sippy cups at home that I just didn't pay attention or what. It was always at Grandma's house. Whenever we were drinking anything at Grandma's house, that's where it would get terrifying. And it was because the face. There was this distorted face in the bottom of the mug. Now, as a child of the 80s, I thought I was looking at E.T. Okay? This off, distorted face was almost human, but not quite. And it truly, I am a grown adult man, and I still remember being terrified of the face in the mug. And I would complain to Grandma, and I didn't know it was called a mug. So I remember conversations with Grandma. Grandma, why is there a face in this cup? What are you talking about? She'd look at the cup. There's nothing in the cup. Just drink from the cup. You're fine. Grandma, there is a face in the cup. Every time I'm drinking from the cup, as the liquid empties in the bottom and I keep tilting the cup, I'm seeing something look back at me, and it's terrifying. Grandma had no idea what I was talking about. Rightly so, because when Grandma would look in the mug, if she saw her reflection, she recognized that she was seeing her reflection. But it never occurred to Grandma that what I was seeing at the bottom of that cup was me. And it was really difficult. Grandma'd be like, hey, who's thirsty? We'd be outside playing. Who's thirsty? Come on in, get something to drink. She'd pour us our little cups, me, my cousins, my brothers. We'd all grab a cup. And if the mug was left, I didn't want to drink. No, I'll be fine. I don't need anything to drink. Don't. Because I knew as soon as I started drinking, as I continued to drink the whatever liquid was, Kool-Aid, as I continued to drink, the eyeballs would appear in the water, in the Kool-Aid. Then the nose. The more I drank, the scarier it got. It was terrifying. As I got older, I started realizing that I was seeing me. That it wasn't some creepy, distorted alien. It wasn't E.T. peering through me, through the glass. It was my reflection. And I was able to laugh at the fact that as a kid, I was still a kid when I made the discovery that, oh, this is me. But as a very, very young child, the act of drinking out of a cup was scary. As an adult, I have recognized multiple times, on multiple occasions, that things that I am afraid of are just a reflection of myself. Now, not literally, I don't walk by the mirror and like, oh my gosh, I walk by the mirror and I'm like, hey, that's a good looking guy right there. But when I look at those things that make me anxious, those things that keep me up at night, oftentimes it's not the thing that should be causing me the fear or that is causing the fear. It's what I am projecting into that thing. I had a meeting with my boss. My boss was like, hey, we need to talk. Okay. We're busy today, so we'll talk tomorrow. I was under the impression, based on the way the conversation had gone, I was under the impression that the meeting was not going to be a pleasant one. In fact, I knew because of things going on in the company that it was probably going to be hey, we're like redirecting. And I was just like, okay, I'm probably going to lose my job tomorrow because they're wanting to, downsize potentially. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat dinner because I'm like, how do I tell my family, hey, I think we're going to get fired tomorrow. I got this meeting and they're talking about downsizing. And I just don't see this as a longevity thing. I went in the next day. My boss was like, hey, congratulations. I would have told you yesterday, but we had a few things that we needed to finalize. We're promoting you. Giving you a raise. Giving you a new title. Some perks. All of the stuff that kept me up. The what ifs. Those were me that I was seeing in that meeting. I was projecting my insecurities. I was projecting false information into something that I had no data to project into. I was just, all right, this is how it's going to be. And I got there And that's not how it was. Now, that's not to say that there aren't those meetings where you go in and it's like, okay, hey, what's going on? And they're like, all right, close the door. We need to talk. Those meetings happen, right? Most of the storms in our lives, we bring on ourselves. Those fears, those anxieties that we have, that we cling to, we don't have to hold on to those. We can let those things go. Those things are the face in the bottom of the mug. The more we tip that mug, metaphorically speaking, the scarier things get. We start obsessing about the face in the mug. First, it's just the eyeballs. First, you're drinking and there's the eyeballs are peeking at you, and then, oh, that's scary. You keep drinking. I can see a nose. It's wobbly, but that's a nose in there. We're seeing the face, the bottom of the mug, projecting those anxieties, projecting those fears. If we could learn to live in the moment, okay, not in that meeting that your boss told you at the end of the day, hey, enjoy the rest of your night. We have to have a meeting first thing tomorrow before you get started to come in and see me, right? Sure, we could let that ruin our next several hours until we get to work the next day. Or we could live in the moment and appreciate the now. Because here's the thing. Tomorrow, the next hour, isn't guaranteed. My youngest brother, when he was 21 years old, he was very fit, 21, skinny as a rail, athletic little guy. Woke up one morning, January, several years ago, 20 years ago almost. Got in his car, never came back home. On his way to work, and he was stressed about getting to work. He woke up late for work, rushing into work, speeding. It was foggy, it was icy. He was on an overpass, didn't see the light turn, gone. His anxieties and fears that he was projecting about his job and what it would do to him if he was late was part of the reason he never went to work again. It's kind of dark, and I admit that, but it's the reality of life. We need to live in the moment, and we need to take our eyes off of the future. It's not bad to plan. By all means, plan out your vacations, plan out your work week, make goals. Those are great. Put them down on paper, commit them to paper, and then forget about them until you're in the present moment when, oh, hey, I've got a meeting that I got to get to. Okay? It makes sense to plan out your day, but don't stress out about those plans because they may never even happen. And if you're stressing out about that meeting, stressing out about that doctor's appointment, you are robbing your now for something that may never happen. I had to remind myself of this personally recently. I had a dentist appointment coming up. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's in a week from now. And I'm not a big dentist fan. No offense to anybody that's a dentist, but I think you probably get it, right? I had this dentist appointment coming up. Tooth had been bothering me for a while. He was like, man, it's pretty rough back there. We probably just take that tooth right out. So I allowed the fear, the concern of that dentist appointment to consume part of my day. And I was just stressed about it. I got this dentist appointment coming up. But until the day of, I have no right to be stressed about that dentist appointment. Sure, we're humans. We're going to have some concerns. I had concerns about it, but you know what? You can't let that be the focal point, because as soon as you give it power over you, it's hard to get that back. So set up those boundaries. Tell that anxiety, tell that future thing, you know what? I recognize that you might be on the horizon. You also might not be. And I'm going to live now. I'm going to find my peace in the moment. How do we do that? If you are stressed, okay, something that I had to do myself, breathe. Okay, if I'd get stressed about going to the dentist, just take a nice deep breath and just let that go. I'm not at the dentist. When I'm at the dentist, sitting in the chair, that's the time that I'll be like, okay, kind of nervous here, everybody. But even then, I can recognize I control that moment. I can be nervous about the experience. Sure, he might poke something, it might hurt, whatever it might be. But you don't have to let that rob you of your peace. And peace lives in the here and now, not in the future. It also doesn't live in the past. We all have things that we regret. We've done things that we wish we hadn't done. We've said things, we've done things, we've said things to people, we've hurt people, we've hurt ourselves. People have said things to us, have hurt us. We've seen people hurt other people. And though it can be difficult, we can't dwell on those things from our past either. We have to let them go. We have to forgive that past thing. Whether that means that we are allowing ourselves to forgive us for what we did, which can be very difficult. We have to do it. We have to mean it. We have to allow ourselves to let that past thing go. If somebody did something to us, we have to forgive. You don't have to go to that person and say, hey, you did this thing to me and I forgive you. But in your heart, you need to say, you know what? I've held this against that person and I'm going to let it go. I'm going to forgive that thing that happened, that they did, and I'm going to let this go. Because you're not forgiving for them. You're forgiving for you and allowing yourself that peace. Because if somebody hurt you in the past and you're still holding on to that pain, then you are allowing that person to still have that over you, and you need to let it go. You don't need to carry that weight. You don't have to keep that on your shoulders. You can let it go. Even if it's just internally saying, you know what? It happened. It was wrong. And forgiving them doesn't make it right. It doesn't decrease the significance of what happened back then. But it allows you the ability to move forward, to take that weight and set it on the ground and say, you know what? It's a part of my past, but it doesn't have to be a part of my present, and it's not going to be a part of my future, and just set it down. Peace lives in the moment. Peace lives in the here and now. Our minds can time travel. Our minds can live a week from now, a month from now, and project, say, okay, we've got this thing is coming up. I'm going to be nervous. Our minds can go back into the past and recall those events. But our nervous systems don't time travel. Our nervous systems live in the moment now with us. And when we try to move into the future, when we try to project ourselves into the future or recall things from our past, we start sending signals to our nervous system that it doesn't like processing. And so our stomachs drop. We start to feel sweaty, hot. We start to feel nauseous, have trouble breathing, dizzy. When we aren't in the moment, we have anxiety, we have stress, panic. Now, I appreciate the fact that panic disorders exist, depression exists. Those are a little bit different than being anxious. Because when you're talking about a panic or an anxiety disorder, the key word there being disorder. Nothing is happening. I'm not thinking of anything that's stressful. In fact, one of my worst panic attacks, I guess we'll go down this road. One of my worst panic attacks happened. A good friend of mine was throwing a birthday party for his kid, invited my kids over. They were going to some kind of trampoline park or something. And what should have been an awesome day, just hanging out with friends, good food, the kids were busy doing things, they were off playing. Instead, we got to the location, and I just wasn't feeling right. There was no reason. Things should have been great, but they weren't. I looked at my wife and I was like, hey, we probably, I can't do this right now. We need to go down the street and just chill, take my mind off of whatever's going on. I'm just not feeling right. We wound up going to a little arts and crafts store. And in the middle of the arts and crafts store, I started sweating. I started feeling dizzy, like I was going to pass out. And in the middle of this store, which was busy at the time, it was the weekend, midday, lots of people in there buying their little arts and craft things. As I felt the walls closing in, saw little sparkles in my vision. I'm like, okay, I know what passing out is like. I'm going to pass out here. I laid down. I was overheating. I needed to get cool. So I laid down in the middle of the floor in this arts and crafts room, or arts and crafts store, picked up, it's like a product off of the lowest shelf, and was pretending to read what was happening, what was on the back of the label. That's what people do. Well, I'm just going to lay down here in the middle of the aisle and read about this product. But in the moment, that's what made sense, because I had developed a panic disorder. There was no reason for me to be anxious. There's no reason for panic. Everything was fine. Everybody was healthy. Life was pretty good. But that's why it's a disorder. And that's different than actually having things that are stressful going on. And that's okay. We can absolutely go through life and recognize, hey, this is something I don't need to be worried about. We can have those times where there is nothing to be worried about, but I'm having the response as if there were. We'll talk about both in more depth in upcoming episodes. What to do with a panic disorder, what to do with an anxiety disorder. One of the things I do is I teach something called mental health first aid. And in that, I teach how to recognize when somebody is having a panic attack, having an anxiety attack, what to do about it. I also talk about and teach what things can happen in somebody's life to cause these disorders. They often stem from trauma. And we'll talk about that. But the fears and the anxieties, the stress about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen when I get back from lunch, what's going to happen 2 weeks from now when that project is due, or that anxiety, concern, the guilt of that thing that happened several months ago, several years ago, that just eats away. Those things we have more control over. And those things we need to put up our little boundaries, our little barriers, and say, hey, you know what? You have no power over me. Forgive. Live in the moment. Take a couple deep breaths. Look around. Name 5 objects that you see. Break that loop, that feedback loop of whatever it is you're thinking about. Pull yourself into the here, into the now. What do you have? 5 things that are sitting around you. A cup, a pen, a notepad. Whatever the 5 things might be. Look at those things. Focus on your breathing. And allow those things to pull your mind in from the future or back up to the present from the past. All right. Well, I am the Stressless Guru. I suppose I've kind of rambled on here for a minute. If this podcast helps you at all, if it helps you stress a little bit less, if it gives you a different perspective on things, helps you breathe a little bit deeper, feel a little less alone, or even give you something to look for next time you go to drink out of a mug and find that there really is a scary face looking back at you, then welcome. Take what resonates with you, leave the rest. That's totally fine. There's no pressure to believe anything here. I just want you to show up, be who you are, understand you don't have to be a newer, more improved, better version of anything. Who you are right now in this moment is all I ask you to be. And that is good enough for me. It should be good enough for you and everybody else. So until next time, I am the Stressless Guru. Always remember, stress less and live more.